Your Haitian Creole proverb pronunciation for this week is avant te mettre souliers, songer ses pieds à terre taillés. Avant te mettre souliers, songer ses pieds à terre taillés. Avant te mettre souliers, songer ses pieds à terre taillés.
You think modern computers are the only things that run on binary code, zeros and ones. What if I told you African priests were using binary code for complex algorithms hundreds of years before the first computer was ever built? Mathematicians have discovered that traditional African design, from the layout of villages to textile patterns, is based on fractal geometry. But it gets deeper. Systems like the Ifa divination in West Africa or Bamana sand divination use a process of generating random outcomes that are exactly like the binary sequences used in modern computing. German mathematician Gottfried Wilhelm, the father of binary, was actually influenced by these types of geomancy systems when he formalized the binary code we use today. We associate advanced math and coding strictly with the West or Asia, but the logic that runs your phones has roots in African spirituality. Knowledge isn't at all new, it's just rediscovered. So as always, hit the follow button for more stories on Africa, its culture, and its history.
Dare to explore the world's most eerie market? Welcome to Akodesewa Fetish Market in Lomé, Togo. This unique bazaar specializes in voodoo and spiritual items. offering mystical herbs, bizarre statues, and potions made by witch doctors. Stalls display animal bones, dried skins, and magical charms, used in voodoo rituals and healing practices. As you walk through, you'll feel a thrilling yet slightly frightening atmosphere. It's not just a shopping spot, but a place to encounter the mysterious and unknown. Whether you're fascinated by voodoo culture or seeking mystical experiences, Akodesewa Fetish Market promises a one-of-a-kind adventure. If you have the chance, experience it yourself. Until next time.
Yo, so, we've been thinking about the songs of love for a while. Now that I found the love, I think I should start working on it. It's gotta be a big one. Yo, I got Scandalous doing some stuff. I think we're gonna run this nice. I just hope I'm ready enough for this. I just wanted to go say that to the wind like that and never release this melody. So we gotta take it to another level and try to upgrade. I got it unset.
You already know. Yo, it's a brand new day, don't rock the station. A brand new flow, tuning admiration. A brand new style, meditating with great sound. The songs of love, cause I found some sweet love. Now copy that, before you create a brand new style. I'ma do it with a brand new flow, a brand new beat.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Voodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and brought to you by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. In Ouida, Benin, a National Voodoo Day is celebrated on January 10th. African and diasporic artists were initially invited to create monuments to mark important points along the slave route. The path-captured people were marched along on their way to the beach to the slave boats that carried them into slavery into the Americas. And on National Voodoo Day, there is a ceremonial procession to each of the major sites along the march. The procession begins under a tree where the slave auctions were held, then to the tree of forgetting, around which they will walk 3 times. They will forget who they were and where they came from. Then the memorial of repentance, dedicated to repentance for the complicity of their ancestors in the slave trade, and to petition the forgiveness of the descendants of enslaved Africans now living in the diaspora. The New Orleans International Voodoo Day was built, was birthed by this divine idea from West Africa, from the motherland. And we certainly invite you to continue to support us, to participate us, to volunteer, to sponsor, to donate by visiting us at www.voodooday.org, www.voodooday.org. We certainly appreciate your continued support and participation. We're also thankful for those of you who continue to participate and show up in our live podcast Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a social media network near you in Facebook, in Instagram, LinkedIn, certainly YouTube, Twitter, X, and any social media platform where you can find our link. We certainly are appreciative of your continued support and participation. Thank you so much, faithful community member Daniel Neal, for continuing to show up and be present. And I will be unmuting my beloved co-host momentarily, my first priest, armor bearer, Black Hawk Voodoo Wildman, Joshua Nylan Tanner, and initiated member of La Source on 4, our beloved Elder Reggie Green Soap, elder and leader of Shrine of the White Cloth, faithful, committed member of NOIVD, and our beloved Bianca Johnson Plessy, Queen Mother Bianca Johnson Plessy, initiated member of the Source and committed member of NOIVD. We certainly do appreciate your continued support, vocation, and commitment to this platform. Tonight, by the motivation of Elder Reggie, we're going to discuss the origins, the history, the purpose of West African fetish markets, and their role in Voodoo, Vodou, and Voodoo worldwide. Beloved brothers, sisters, seekers, and keepers of tradition, let us journey together into the living memory of our ancestors, into the bustling, fragrant, and mysterious spaces known as the fetish markets. These markets, scattered across West Africa and echoed in diasporic lands, are not merely places of commerce. They are crossroads of spirit and matter, shrines of healing and power, archives of history and living testimonies to the resilience of Voodoo, Vodou, and Voodoo traditions. Long before the colonial maps carved borders across Africa, the peoples of the Fan, Ewe, Yoruba, and Aja gathered in marketplaces not only to trade food, cloth, and tools, but to exchange spiritual technologies. These technologies were fetishes, objects imbued with spirit, consecrated through ritual and animated by ancestral presence. The word voodoo itself from the Fan language means spirit or deity. Fetishes were not curiosities. They were living mediators between human beings and the divine. Bones, herbs, carved figures, shells, and stones became vessels through which the invisible world spoke. Thus, the market was never only economic, it was cosmological, a place where the visible and invisible worlds met. In Lome, Togo, the Okodesawa fetish market stands as one of the most famous examples. Here, one finds skulls of monkeys, skins of crocodiles, feathers of birds, and powders ground from bone and root. To the uninitiated, these may seem macabre, but to the devotee, they are remedies, protections, and conduits of divine energy. A healer may prescribe a mixture of powdered bone and herbs for protection against illness. A diviner may direct a client to purchase a carved fetish to house a spirit of fertility or prosperity. Ritual sacrifice of chickens, goats, or other animals may be prepared through items bought in the market, ensuring balance between human need and spiritual obligation. The fetish market is, in essence, a pharmacy of the sacred, where every item carries a lineage of meaning. During the Atlantic slave trade, millions of voodoo practitioners were torn from their homelands, yet they carried with them the memory of the fetish market. In Haiti, in Louisiana, in Brazil, the idea of sacred commerce survived. In Haiti, Vodou merged from Catholicism, but the use of fetishes, charms, talismans, ritual objects remained central. In Louisiana, voodoo markets adapted to urban life, blending African herbs with Native American plants and European folk remedies. In Brazil, candomblé and other traditions preserved the marketplace as a site of ritual exchange. Colonial authorities often tried to suppress these practices, branding them superstition or witchcraft. Yet the markets endured, sometimes hidden, sometimes public, always resilient. They became symbols of resilience, places where African identity could be preserved against erasure. The fetish market serves multiple purposes. healing, providing remedies for physical and spiritual ailments, protection, offering charms against misfortune, envy, or malevolent spirits, communication, supplying tools for divination, allowing humans to converse with gods and ancestors, community, acting as gathering places where knowledge, ritual, and tradition are exchanged. In Voodoo cosmology, everything is spirit. The fetish market is the visible manifestation of that truth, a place where spirits are bought, sold, invoked, and honored. Today, fetish markets are not confined to West Africa. In New Orleans, one finds shops selling gree bags, candles, herbs, and charms. In Haiti, Vodou practitioners prepare ritual items for ceremonies. Across the diaspora, the logic of the fetish market persists. The belief that material objects can be consecrated as spiritual tools, that commerce itself can be sacred. To speak of fetish markets is to speak of continuity. They remind us that religion is not abstract, it is lived, embodied, and traded in the rhythms of daily life. They remind us that healing is not only medical, but spiritual. They remind us that the ancestors walk among us, not only in temples, but in stalls, baskets, and bundles of herbs. The fetish market is a mirror of humanity's eternal search for balance between body and spirit, between need and offering, between the living and the dead. And in my closing, as I ask my beloved panelists and co-hosts to unmute, so let us honor these markets, not as curiosities, but as cathedrals of the everyday, sanctuaries of resilience, and archives of ancestral wisdom. In the stalls, we see the survival of the people, the endurance of the faith, and the unbroken dialogue between Africa and her children across the seas. May we remember the fetish market is not only a place, it is a philosophy, a way of life, a testimony that the sacred can be found in the ordinary and that the ordinary can be consecrated into the sacred. And again, I'm thankful for your continued support and participation in the chat. Please type in your questions, comments in all caps if you wish me to read them and respond to them out loud. And come on in, Brother Joshua Nylan Tanner, Elder Reggie Greensoap, and our beloved Bianca Johnson Plessy. How y'all doing?
Blessing. Good night,
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Yes. Blessing. Divine Prince, I'd like to chime in first, if you will. Beautiful, beautiful topic we have tonight. And I was inspired by that topic from a few nights ago. We done a series, a lectures on juju bags, gree bags. In order to get those bags, ingredients have to go within them. And so where do you get these ingredients from? You have to go to a market, what we call a fetish market. There's a small passage I like to read from Google, please. Cultural and spiritual significance. Beyond food and artisans' crafts, the French market also historical facilitate trade in items tied to local spiritual and ritual practice, reflecting the city diverse influence, including Creole, African, and Native American tradition. Vendors often sold handmade crafts, herbal remedies, charms, and items that could serve in ceremonial or protective contexts. This legacy supports New Orleans' historical identity as a city where commerce and mystical tradition intertwine. And as we do our New Orleans International Voodoo Day ceremony in 2026, it's going to be on the 24th of May. Our panel member, Joshua, he is going to pour the libations at the French market in honoring of all those that used to come to that market to buy and trade their wares. If it's herbs or was it teeth, was it bones, whatever you needed to make your juju bag or your Gregory bag or your mojo hand, whatever you needed to go, New Orleans had a market. And as the enslaved Africans and people from the old world started coming to the New Orleans area, it was already set up as a market because of the grace and honor of the Native Americans who was here first. This used to be where they sold their wares at. And so these different cultures intertwined and woven into, even today as I speak, New Orleans French market still holds its ground to me as a fetish market for all the practitioners who practice the voodoo and other ATRs in the city of New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes,
have a
sir. Brother
question.
Reggie. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Go ahead.
We can hear you.
Uh, yeah, I have a question. Last year, this is to Brother Reggie. Did you guys take a trip out there to Africa? And if you did you get a chance to visit the fetish market out there?
Sister Bianca, yes, I did. I did, yes. And when I went in 2019 also, but I had my two biological brothers with me, Makaru, and I have another brother goes by the name of Zion. And the three of us traveled and we got readings, we got work done, we brought items from those markets. And then last year when I went, after I left Benin, I stopped through Togo and visit the markets again. Yes, but they have similar markets like that in Benin and also in Ghana also.
But they're probably out there. They probably have. I was checking out some of the videos, and I noticed that they have like a lot of stuff that, of course, that we'll see at our market, but there was like a lot of stuff that was kind of cringing to me. And like you
Yes.
said, it's just probably all about what people need to use to do certain things, because I would just never think all the stuff that they had on the tables with the videos that I was watching. I was like, oh my gosh, they have some of everything. It looked like it's almost like they were just picking up stuff off the side, like off the side of the road or out in the wilderness and stuff. So
Yes.
it was kind of
That
interesting to look at the videos that I was watching.
Yeah, that's how a great deal of that market product is acquired from hunters who spend a great deal of time in the forest in the wilderness, and also
Mhm.
from roadkill. And
Yes.
Yeah.
though it looks abundant and a lot of it, in one central location,
Yeah.
it's not so unusual to find organic material here in the wild,
Yeah.
from snake skin to dehydrated animal parts can often be
Alligators.
found if you spend any amount of time in the wilderness. Certainly as much time as Brother Joshua has spent in the wilderness and out west.
Mhm.
Yeah. You find alligators. You can find hawks. You can find down birds, feathers, and I mean, in terms of the French market, I know Elder Reggie kind of chimed in on that. I just wanted to give you some a little bit more information about that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people might not know, but it's actually the French market is actually one of the oldest or the oldest public market in the United States of America. So the
Wow.
significance of that is pretty big, being that it's right here on this Mississippi River, which was uh, we understand with the Native American tradition to be a highway of where they used to transport goods up and down the Mississippi River as they before the colonial colonization came into the Americas and Spanish came in, and it maintained that same purpose until till today. So I mean, in terms of what Bianca was saying, also in terms of the
Mhm.
goods, you can find some of those goods down in New Orleans, but it ain't as gory. But I mean, it's more prepared and it's more. I think. I mean, I would think traditionally in that time, um, when it was mostly ran and not developed this land the way it is now here in New Orleans, I'm sure you probably ran across to a lot of similar, like, gory type of things. People just find themselves in the swamp, possums or coons or whatever it could be on the way in. Because this is, like we were saying, it's a cultural and spiritual center where you can actually, where people bring things like that to utilize in whatever purpose that they needed to use it for whatever uh, spiritual conditioning or healing or um, metaphysical purposes that we was utilizing medicine through, even herbs, gathering herbs on the way in, gathering fishing on the way in. I'm sure a lot of those things in tradition happened in the process of their transportation on the way to the market. So
Mm-hmm.
you only
Yeah,
have so much time.
I'd like to give a little background on why you see the different variety of animals and maybe herbal plants and things like that. Now, the way it works is it's grafting. So if me being a priest and a client come to me, let's say they want to look at nighttime, they want to look at the stars, the celestial sky, or they want to have night vision. So I would have a young hunter to go out and catch me an owl. So once he catch the owl, kill the owls, you could take some of the parts from the owl, burn it, mash it, and mix it with a certain herb, put it in a mojo bag. Now your client can have access to seeing at night. So all those different animals, whatever properties these animals present in third dimension, real time, and you want to use the attributes of that animal, then you have to use the dead carcass of that animal. Once again, transform it by fire to get the ashes to use it for that purpose, and that's how it works. Hmm.
And you'd be surprised what you will come across in the city. Just a brief story. When I first got invited, I don't know, maybe 14 years ago, to mask as a black masking Indian, it was countdown. I was running out of time. Parades were rolling. And at that time, I lived uptown, right off Aretha Castle Haley. So I had to, for those of you who know, I had to cross St. Charles Avenue in order to get to the Walmart down there at the river at the end of Josephine Street. And so, I was blessed to get across because, when those parades are rolling and those kids are marching, there's very strict rules about you crossing in between floats, in between participants, et cetera, unless you're at a major intersection and there might be a police officer there to sort of help you to get across. And I got across. And so now I'm, on the riverside of St. Charles and I'm heading to Walmart. And there was once a project community there that was torn down and redeveloped into new, more modern housing. But there were still some open, grassy fields, in this area. And I'm on my way to the Walmart and I see this white bone sort of peeking out at me from the grass. And it was a deer bone. It was bleached. I don't know if someone, intentionally bleached it or if it had been bleached from the sun or maybe it had somehow traveled out of the river and ended up in this location. But I picked it up almost perfectly intact, except for one of the antlers is broken off a little bit. And it became a central totem and focal point, a juju, a gree, if you will, to my medicine in terms of masking as medicine man on Mardi Gras Day. And subsequently, Brother Joshua and I continued to use horn, as he mentioned, alligator, snake skin, coyote, various organic parts of material just in the crafting of our suits. And again, for those who are unfamiliar, the practice, the culture, and the tradition is to show acknowledgement and appreciation to that relationship between the enslaved populace and the indigenous aboriginal inhabitants of this region who assisted us in living and surviving out in the swamps, who the white man still thought was just a no man's wasteland, thought we was foolish to escape and run off into the swamps, and didn't come often to retrieve us, which, as we know, led to the creation of maroon encampments, not just in New Orleans East, but all around Louisiana and surrounding New Orleans. But even today, I still, depending on where I'm walking and where I'm looking, I will find, material just, in the city, but in natural areas, uh, grassy areas, treed areas, certainly down by the river. And I will collect those items and utilize them as Elder Reggie so
Hmm.
eloquently described.
Yes. Like if most time I have it on, but I use it as protection. I have a goat horn and I have medicine packed within the goat horn, but I have it on me all the time. And a lot of times when I go to the regular marketplace like Rouse or Walmart, and people are always accost me and say, "What that is? What is that there?" Some people even thought it was a wheel too. I always say it's just a goat horn, and I wear the goat horn just for I feel safety and comfortable with it, but I don't explain to them what I'll have packed in that. And so sometimes by me wearing the goat horn, it also reinforces me feeling protection also. And it just equivalent to other jujus such as the mojo hand, which we don't see too much no more, but a gree or and back then they used to call them Tobies also, and which was real popular at one time was the rabbit foot, and you used to could go to the French market and places like that and purchase these items. But we knew coming into the 60s, going into the 70s, botanicas and spiritual stores had started replacing the French market in the New Orleans area. But the French market is still there. And I honor and respect all the botanicas and stores of that nature that supports the marketplace, but they all fall under the French market for me. Mm-hmm.
And I just
Yeah,
want
we
to
do.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Joshua.
I just want to mention that in 1813, the market was replaced with new structures, and one of the new structures in 1813 that was built, it was served as the butcher's hall where the meat market was, and it's now
Mm-hmm.
Cafe Du Monde. So if
Ooh,
you guys go to Cafe Du Monde downtown on the Riverwalk to that one off of I think that's what street is that again? I can't remember.
Katie
Decatur,
Street.
Yeah, Decatur
the one,
Street.
Decatur. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
That used to be a butcher's hall back in 1813 and during that time, and it was built
Hmm.
then. So one of the oldest structures that was original to the French market.
Mm-hmm.
And we certainly
Yeah.
want to acknowledge Mambo Salian, who's in the chat, who's the owner and operator of Island of Salvation Botanica at 2372 St. Claude Avenue. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Mambo got a lot of supplies in that shop, but she is vegan, vegetarian, so you probably won't find a lot of animal parts in there, but you will find other popular and common and some not so common items that we use in hoodoo, root work, conjure, local Louisiana, New Orleans voodoo, but also she carries a variety of Haitian veves, well designed and crafted veve flags and other Haitian ceremonial clay and other items. So let's not forget Island of Salvation at 2372 St. Claude Avenue, right in the front. And she just got in a massive shipment of Santa Muerte statuary,
Hmm.
the deity of the dead, gifted to us by the Hispanic, we shouldn't say Hispanic, by the Mexican and indigenous cultures of Mexico. One night I'm going to do a podcast about our Afro indigenous roots in Mexico. When we look at the
Mm-hmm.
archaeological burial grounds for enslaved Africans, the largest population is in Mexico. A great deal were bought, trafficked to Mexico, and then back and forth between Mexico and the southern U.S. in terms of the extension of the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad didn't just run north, it ran south. And so we had many ancestors that made their way into Mexico and became Mexican, if you will, and show up to this day in our DNA results. I am 1% indigenous and specifically to Mexico. So please check out them Santa Muerte statuary. We got them in every color. We have from every purpose. We have one that's that Brother Joshua pointed out that's really phenomenal. I won't describe it in the event that you might want to go back and get it because there are many that are unique, distinct, and individual. So please do go and check out that statue.
I have one quick question. What are you guys' intake on? So we know we was just talking about like the fetish market, just some of the things that people collect. What are you guys' intake on when they talk about? I'm pretty sure people probably still do it now, but when they talk about doing like grave diggers, when they used to have people that had to watch over the graveyards and the cemeteries and stuff, because they would have a lot of grave diggers that would come out and dig up certain skeletons and bones and stuff for different rituals, and not even just using it for themselves, but also selling in the market. Now, how would people go about that? Because sometimes if you're taking from the grave, not even knowing who the people are, what their history is, or the background of anything, and then you're selling them in the market or using it for so many different things. What is y'all intake on that?
Well,
I like to. Well, go ahead, Devon.
Go ahead, Elder Reggie.
Yeah. I like to chime in. When you see things of that nature, and maybe we don't talk about it enough, but when you're dealing with the ATRs and voodoo, hoodoo, whatever, you have a right hand pad and you have a left hand pad. Some people say an open pad and some people say a closed pad. And when you're dealing with bones and skulls from graveyards and sites like that, you are dealing in more of a darker side of it. Now, myself particular, I don't mess with the dark side at all. I try to stay to the light.
I feel like that'd be like disrespectful.
Yes, Sister Bianca, that would be true. But if you're doing dark work, then you ain't worrying about respecting nobody. You trying to accomplish dark work. And we do have priests and priestesses who dabs into the dark side of things. That's all I'm saying. And that would be the wares and the way they would go about it. So when you hear of people or see people doing that, just know that they are what we call dark practitioners.
I just want to add to that. That was an excellent point, Elder Reggie. You know, energy is energy. You know, we've gotten used to saying light and dark and positive and negative, but, you know, you go back to the original Big Bang, energy is energy, and all energy was created simultaneously. And some practitioners will gather that energy from where they will, and they don't care about the source. Now, there is some evidence, some storytelling of that type of activity and thievery still going on to some degree in modern times. Now, you don't necessarily see it, you know, on the 5 o'clock news, but that was part of the issue, or one of the many issues that they were having at St. Louis Cemetery #1 and some of the more popular cemeteries with non-initiated practitioners, maybe even open practitioners, to reference Elder Reggie's point, going in and accessing items from the cemetery to include damaging tombs and accessing bodies for all sorts of magic. And certainly they don't know who's in that cemetery. They care that it was that cemetery, and anyone in that cemetery would be considered to possess a certain degree of ancestral power and energy. And we do have a modern Hogan practitioner, may he rest in Ginin. Many of you may know. And I'm being told right now not to even say his name. So he's buried in the cemetery, but he was buried almost under secrecy. Only a very small group of us were allowed to participate in the ceremony, the second line in the ceremony. There was a bit of a snafu in terms of arrangements with the cemetery. So the second line in the procession happened one day, and then they had to go back again the next day and actually carry the body into the cemetery. And very few people even know exactly where in the cemetery this Hogan is buried, for fear of just that, someone seeking to desecrate the tomb, damage the tomb, certainly steal anything off the tomb or from inside the tomb to use for, any sort of work. So it is an unfortunate reality that it does still happen. But as Elder Reggie suggested, it's a quite different demographic. I think that would even have that in mind, that would even seek that out, that would be willing to violate ancestral law and code and the laws of nature to access those items. There was a time in Florida, and particularly among the Palo community, where people were, getting involved in Palo, probably for the wrong reasons, probably for selfish reasons, carnal reasons, popularity reasons, and then for whatever reason got fearful or things got deep, and then they would get rid of their shrines to include the jujus, fetishes, some items that you would find at a fetish market. Many of these Palo pots include various body parts, often of animals, but some of the more shadowy, dark-sided practitioners may very well have stolen body parts from cemeteries and also had them in the pots. And basically, this became such a profound phenomenon, them finding, these items, that the police got involved, the FBI got involved, CIA got involved, and it ended up going to court under the court case titled Halitha, Florida. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Which basically gave legitimate practitioners the right to utilize animals and animal parts and sacrifice in ceremony and ritual under the right and most sacred of circumstances. It did not make it, a free, open, fest for, any and everybody to start, doing such a thing. But that's what really forced it into the public eye, the public conversation, and even the legal conversation, was this desecration of these sacred shrines and pots, which allow, again, the police and the system to come into the practice and then have to speak to it. But it's not something that we participate in, certainly in any of our houses, in our greater joint house. And it's really not something that is commonly done in the ATRs by most practitioners. The Yoruba say Iwa Pele. WIAPELE. Iwa Pele, meaning balanced or good character.
Shale. Well, it's getting late. Divine Prince, would you like to give a greetings to those on the other platforms that's listening to such a powerful lecture tonight?
Yes, I'm certainly appreciative of all of you, the 36 or more people who came in and listened to the podcast tonight. Certainly, we're thankful for your support on all of our Facebook pages and groups and platforms where we can be accessed in Facebook. Thank you for participating in LinkedIn. We appreciate my YouTube audience, certainly, and we are archived automatically at the end of the programming on my YouTube account. We're certainly thankful for our Twitter X listening audience and for our participating Instagram audience. Thank you so much, Walk in Faith, for coming in. Elagunda Hosu 21, thank you for coming in. Nukishia, thank you so much for coming in. I'm waiting to hear an update from you, beloved. Thank you, Denario 248, for coming through. Sinba, thank you for coming through. I am Shakiria, thank you for stopping by. Sporty Shorty 1234, thank you for coming through. Hi, 217 Hat, we certainly appreciate you. The Collective 1111, thank you for stopping by. A Conversation with Key, thank you so much for joining us. And a Pretty Little Thing, thank you for joining us. And we invite your continued support and participation tomorrow night and every weeknight, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a platform near you. Thank you so much, Nikishia, for responding. I know you hadn't forgotten. The holidays can be overwhelming for all of us. We certainly understand. But thank you so much for listening and taking notes and being present with us. We certainly appreciate you all. So we look forward to being here with you again tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on a platform near you. Remember that all is truly and indeed a blessing. Thank you so much, Elder Reggie.
Yeah, I say, Divine Prince, can you please put up the advertisement? I like to read them for the collective audience, if you have them. Thank you. Friday, the 19th of December, our next new moon ritual prayer and application ceremony will occur on the next new moon, which is Friday, December the 19th at 6:30 p.m. And that location is 710 Cluid Street, which is called the Cluid Garden. It's a ritual of spiritual warfare. If you're in the local area and if you can attend, please do. Then we have one on the 20th. Saturday, the 20th of December at 6:30 p.m., we have the Petro Flaming Baths, magical stuff. And that location is 3319 Rosalie Alley, New Orleans, Louisiana. That area is called the Bywater. And then Wednesday, the 24th of December, a bonfire on the levee in Lutcher, Louisiana. Thank you. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. With that, I say, ashe, ashe, ashe. Good night, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow night, and we love you.
Right,
Good night.
Good night. Yes.
All is a blessing.
Come with me to visit the largest voodoo market in the world, located in Lomé, Togo, in West Africa. In English, it's known as the Akodesawa Fetish Market, and it's basically a place where you can buy all types of monkey heads, animal skulls, dead birds, crocodiles, dogs, voodoo dolls, anything that you're really looking for if voodoo is the religion that you focus on and practice. Walking into the place, you realize, first of all, the first thing that hits you is like the stench of dead flesh. I mean, I've never really smelled something as crazy. It smells a little bit like a mix between a pet shop and just like, I guess, what a meat factory would smell like. I had a guided tour throughout the market, and the person took us through and told us what different things would be used for. Chameleons are really interesting because they can be used to change your destiny and to change your path of life, which kind of makes sense because of the way that they change and transform. In the end, I was able to meet someone who gave me a general blessing for good fortune and prosperity. Overall, I think this was an amazing experience because I got to see what are some really ancient religions that actually have nothing to do with what we call the white man religions these days. So, yeah, I loved it.
Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this right in my DNA, yet I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees. It's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner away. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she's straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says, you only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. We are the children of the ancestors that weren't punk bitches.